Hello, and it is the 13th of August, and the year is 2011. There is a lot to go over in this video. I'm going to be going over the silver upon multiple time frames within here. And I was stating many months ago I couldn't find a way to put moving averages within a candlestick chart on the spreadsheet, and I still really haven't, but what I have been able to do is find ways of cropping them together. I want to go over these within this. It'd be quicker this weekend to do it this way. And then I just match up the images on here, and then this would put the moving averages right where the price action is. It's sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge, but that's only just for a few seconds, as now they're on fairly well. Okay, so what I want to go over is the concept of where have we come from, where are we now, and where do we have the potential to go. This was a line used by Brian Shannon, and it's a psychology of sitting back, looking, seeing the charts, and just telling yourself and asking yourself those questions. Well, within this, where have we came from? Well, we've been coming from indecision. Above this, below, above, then we're below it here, above, below. Now we're within the trend of this 18-period moving average. Okay. As far as the Fibonacci line, obviously where we came from was lower levels if the 61.8% just found support. So we did have a rally. We have had corrections both through price and time, but nothing yet to state a failure, because where we are is within this range. And where do we have the potential to go? Well, the longer you're in a range, the bigger the breakout or breakdown tends to be. So when you look at this, you pretty much just sit back and wait to move on further. Now let's move on to the daily chart. But before we do, what I'll be talking about within this is what I call strength. The strength of this chart is 60%. And simply what that is where it has retraced from this high and this low. It's 60% of the way up within this range. Okay, let's now move this on to the daily chart. Where have we come from? Well, we were in an upward trend when this started. We had a pretty significant volatile move lower, and it now decided it doesn't want to change the trend over. Well, we're below this area, we're above it, below it without making a lower low. It's had a nice, decent sized rally above this, but it still has yet to make it above this level. Therefore, we've hit this Fibonacci. We don't know yet, just by looking at merely the charts in itself, if this is going to be a failure because it has to get above this level. Therefore, we're seeing now how this level was support. It's looking like this might break down, and that's why these levels are big. When you break this mark down, where's the potential that we have to go? And that could be some decent sized moves, candles of this nature and this nature that could bring us potentially down from 38 to 35 in a single session. That would be the more likely scenario. When we see this as far as where we could go as far as on the breakout, getting above this significant line, getting above the previous resistance at 41 and change, this thing really seems as if it can get going. As far as where its strength is concerned, it's set up at 43.9%, which is obviously below 50, and it's the most weakest of the time frames right now. Okay, next one is the 3-day chart. Where have we come from? A nice bull market that stayed above this 18-period average, found two hits on the first level at this upper band. Then it had this correction, and it took a significant rally to come back up to this band, where it managed to have this correction down to this Fibonacci line, which is keeping it bullish. It's managed to go below this, but really not stay below it or make another move lower. Thus, we're seeing how this is now support, but it's on a rising average rather than that of a declining average. Again, you see this thing getting going. We can have some nice gains. These bands have really narrowed in. And when that's the case, that can really show you that the explosiveness for one direction or the other can be coming on its to its next path. If we're going for a long-term neutrality, then that can happen. But breaking this level, there's really no resistance up towards the 50. Yes, you'll have this band, but as the market goes up, the band would also go up with it as well. Moving on to the weekly time frame. But before we do, let's just go back over its strength variable. It's at 77% right now. And there's the other numbers if you are looking for them. Okay, weekly time frame. Where have we come from? We were correcting within this range. It had a dip below it. Now, oftentimes when you see a market go through this type of average like this and then not go lower, that's a failed move. But the fast move took quite a while to occur as it had many different weeks within this range. And then as it got going, it had a nice move where it hugged this upper band, came back, found support. Again, it came up to this band and it got above it. It closed above it for 4 straight sessions in a row, which is pretty big. It was really trying to go parabolic, and it did for a little bit, but not for that long. The retracement came back down to this average, finding support within this band. Yes, it went below it, but didn't hold below it. Now it's finding support. It's going above it, but it's not staying above this level. When you see this thing break through from this, again, same thing as the 3-day chart. There's really no resistance up towards this upper band, and these little things are closing in on each other as well. Moving this on to the monthly chart. Where have we come from? We found support within this level and came up to this band, corrected for a decent amount of time within this band, but the band kept an upward trend. And within here, didn't quite make this band, and you have this failed move in here because you go below this key moving average and you don't at least go neutral or lower because you come to this resistance level. No, it didn't go lower in here. And boom, there's your fast move up to the band. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 candles, pretty much 6, for a half a year, staying within this band. It's had a little retracement in here. Where's the potential we have for this to go? Again, it's making this higher low from here. When you're making a pattern of higher highs and higher lows, you'd expect a little bit above this level. And if it does make a lower high and then makes a lower low, then there might be reason to get cautious with warning signs of something like this, of a failed move. Okay, quarter. And again, I'm just going to go do some of the strength that I was talking about. As far as the monthly chart, it's at 90.8. We're going to get to all of them at the very end anyway. And then we'll move more on that later on with this weekend. But now back to the quarterly chart frame. Each candle representing 3 months. Where have we come from? Where are we now? Where do we have the potential to go? Well, we were in a downtrend at the start of this period, with the bands going lower below the moving average. And within here, the stabilization occurred. It stayed primarily either within it or above it, but really never below it until here. And it was only for a small period that it did stay below it. Then it had a failed break above it. Oftentimes, from failed moves can create fast moves. It didn't happen. Therefore, you have the failure to not create a fast move after a failure created a fast move to the upside, if you can understand what I'm saying there. But since it broke away from here, support consistently at this 18-period average of highs. Then when it broke here, it never found support there. It did come up to this band, did find some in here. The retracement in 08 was a correction within this band. And you can see in here how nicely it broke away from it. So where are we now? We had our first nice big break above it. And it's found resistance at this band where we've had a little bit of correction. Where do we have the potential to go? Well, we're in a big uptrend. This thing is showing big moves. And yes, it does have potential of bringing lower moves to the downside, but my better guess is that we would continue within the momentum upwards, and we've had shorter term corrections which can give you reason stating, okay, we've got turn 1, turn 2. This is like a chess match or any other type of game where it's 2 people battling each other. One person has a turn, then the second one has a turn. The Bulls have been dominating the Bears, and the Bears had their turn in here. How long will it take for the Bulls to respond, and to what degree? Final chart is the half-year chart. Each one represents 6 months. Therefore, We were in an uptrend within here after consolidation period at the start of the 70s, up to the band, and then it corrected through time and finally met the band. And this is where it had a huge move. It tried to go parabolic, it never really could, and it did for a little bit because it was only ever once did it ever close above the band, which is right in here. That's not parabolic enough. Then it comes down, tries to find. It's a big crash more than anything, sort of like the daily chart, and maybe very similar as well because you have this move in here where you have a little bit going below it, but then that's it. Some sideways correction, and then it starts to get going. We've had 3 hits now within this upper band: hit 1, hit 2, and hit 3. So the more often that you test these sort of resistance field, the more likely it is that you're going to take it out. Very far away from this 18 period average of highs, lows, and closes. Therefore, because that's the case, we're in volatile situations that could be coming. Correction right now, well, let's see where the 18 period average happens to be. It's at 2360. It's unlikely that we'll test that anytime soon, but of course it's always possible. Strength there is 93.3%. And let me just fix it so you can see it in here. On the 6-hour chart, it's 60%. Daily chart, 43%. This takes basically what this does, it takes the last 25 periods for the 6-hour. And within the last 25 days, we're 60%. With this one in here, the daily one, that's within 100 days. This is within 300 days, 100 weeks, 100 months, 100 quarters or 25 years, and 100 half years or 50 years. And I put a pure average and a weighted average. I don't care too much about that. I'm just going to get rid of it, actually. Well, maybe not. But the pure average is just a simple average of these. And I've done a lot more within it because by itself, it doesn't seem like it's too much, but there's a lot more within it. And that will be for the next video. Take care.